So today we're going to talk about what makes Belize a little bit of a purgatory. Not ideal. It's not always paradise.
Hello, I'm Chad,
And I'm Grace.
and this is our dog Queen.
And together we are
Two gringos and a dingo. Don't get us wrong, there's a lot to love about Belize. There are a few things you just have to be aware of before
Correct.
you get here. The first on my list is insects. There are sandflies. If you walk along the side of the road, walking your dog, if you go to the beach, if you just stand around in your yard, sandflies are going to be there. Mosquitoes, to a lesser degree, but if you get in the wrong spots, they're bad. You have to learn to control them.
Right.
The joke I have is I go outside and I hear the lead mosquito or the lead sandfly yell buffet, and they all come for the buffet.
Another thing that makes Belize less than ideal is the climate. Now we put the climate on our paradise because it's warm, sunny year-round, pretty much. Yes, there's a rainy season, but it can also be a negative for a lot of people because it can get very hot. So 80 degrees is comfortable, but when you're at the humidity level, it's going to feel like 90, 95. So it can get very, very warm and very humid. So for a lot of people, I think that would be less than ideal.
The idea of it being hot here kind of dovetails with the next one I wanted to talk about, which is electricity. Electricity is virtually everywhere when it is.
When it is.
They receive their electricity mainly from Mexico, and they reach their allotment and they get cut off. And that happens fairly routinely.
Right.
We went for a week where it happened every day, sometimes for an hour or two, sometimes for just a few minutes.
Right, which brings us to the next thing on our list, which is the cost of utilities. The cost of utilities in Central America in general is very high. So we're talking about whether it's gasoline for your car or electricity or propane, butane, or water. The cost of utilities is significantly more than in the United States. However, most houses are smaller and you use less electricity. Most people learn how to conserve a lot. So I think our bills won't be more than we've had in the United States.
Then you've got the idea of government approval. Government has to approve virtually everything that happens here, and they're on their schedule. We have been in Belize now for a little over 2 months. We still don't have license plates.
No.
They just tell us, well, we're out of them. We'll get them when we get them. If you want to get a house built, you submit your plans, and they have to approve the plans and approve how you're going to build the house. And that can take 2 months, just when they get to it. So government approval, anything that goes through the government goes slow.
The next item on the list is shopping. Shopping is very different in Belize than it is in the United States. You don't have access to large supermarkets or malls, that sort of thing. So you've got to learn how to go to the smaller shops to get what you want. It's not going to be one-stop shopping. There are no big box stores. You have no Walmart, no Target, and anything like that. On the other hand, delivery is also a concern. The delivery system is not what it is in the United States. So there is no Amazon delivery. You get no overnight delivery. We actually are trying to get a document sent to us from our bank, and they overnighted it to us, and it's been more than 6 weeks, and we still don't have that document. So learning to navigate without large shopping malls and quick delivery is a deal breaker for some people.
Speaking of deal breakers, for a lot of people, medical access is a deal breaker. They do not have large medical complexes here. They just recently did a ribbon cutting for the polyclinic, which is basic medical services on the peninsula. They're very proud of that, but it is not the medical center.
Right.
So people who have ongoing major health issues may want to think, how long is it going to take me to get real care? and it may be longer than they're willing to accept.
Right.
Also, your insurance from the states, Medicare, is not going to translate down here. It's not usable except for emergency situations, and then only on a limited basis. So you're paying out of pocket for whatever medical care you get here.
Another thing to consider is the cost of owning a vehicle in Belize. Whether you bring your own vehicle from the States, you import that, that's going to be a cost, shipping cost and import tax, which can be quite high. Or if you buy a vehicle here, a new vehicle has those shipping and taxes passed along in its price as well, so the cost is pretty expensive for cars down here. Many people buy used cars that have undergone, have a salvage title, and that's how a lot of people get cars down here. So the cost of vehicle ownership can be high, maintenance as well, and brakes get used a lot, and the roads are a little rough sometimes, which brings us to our next one.
Well, the roads are quite interesting.
Right.
In the entire country of Belize, there are 2 red lights. How they compensate for the lack of traffic lights is by using roundabouts, and they use road humps. They call them sleeping policemen, and these come in all varieties.
Oh, yes.
I have seen sleeping policemen that are so small you can just treat them like rumble strips, and some that would knock the back tires off your car. I've also seen sleeping policemen literally sleeping in their golf cart outside the police station, so don't get confused about that one. The roads, when you get off the main roads, you have dirt roads, washboard roads, which are very hard on the suspension of your car. So you bring a nice car down here, you expect it to get old fairly quick.
The last thing on our list is the availability or lack of availability of fresh meat. And I haven't been able to find like a meat market that had fresh meat, like steaks and chicken that was fresh and not frozen. Everything you're going to get in Belize is frozen. They have to deliver it from a distance away, so it's going to be frozen. So the lack of getting fresh meat products is the downside. The upside is you can get fresh fish pretty easy.
Now, what we've talked about is some of the downsides of Belize. Recognize you can make a list like this about anywhere. Okay, where we talk about meat not being as accessible here, fresh meat not being as accessible. You also talk about the fact that the meat here doesn't have the additives and the steroids, and it's farm to table.
Right.
It's frozen because they just have such a small market that they can't keep it fresh until it gets to the purchaser.
Right.
And so everything you've talked about here, everything we've talked about, is a plus and a minus. And it just depends on how you approach it and what you expect. We're hoping that these lists will help you get what you expect, and if your expectations are met, you'll be happier with your result.
I think for the most part, and it's any situation wherever you are, it's your attitude going into it, your attitude dealing with it, as to whether these things are positives or negatives. So I think by keeping a good attitude, it makes life so much easier in the long run. Thanks for watching. Remember to follow us on Facebook and read our blog at 2 Gringos and a Dingo on WordPress.com.